Welcome into Flag for Discussion, episode 68 for Monday, February 23rd. My name is Fernando McCarthy, here as always with Jace Hatfield. Today we got to talk a little bit about Curt Cignetti. He just signed a new deal. What does that mean for him? What does that mean for Indiana? I don't really care about that, actually. I just wonder why programs are bidding against themselves for their own coaches who aren't going to leave, but we'll get into that. We're going to talk a little bit about the top quarterbacks, Bill Connelly's list since the year 2000. There's some intriguing names on that list. And if you are, as you're listening to this at home, I encourage you just look up Bill Connelly's list on ESPN. Go through it with us when we start doing that in like 10 minutes. And then I have a fun game for Jace planned. It involves Joe Biden. It involves Dan Lanning. I don't know how yet, but it does. Donald Trump's in there too. So it's a hodgepodge show. It's an off-season show. It's Flag for Discussion. Jace, how are we doing? I hear Chicago's warmer than where I am right now.
Yeah, it's one of the rare days of the year where Chicago might be a little warmer than Southern California. I'm doing great. U.S. hockey gets to go up against Canada in the gold medal game in Sunday morning. So that's a very exciting Winter Olympics event. Spring training has started. You see the Tigers hat. I'm just pointing out my fun sports moments. College basketball is in full swing. But despite all of those exciting moments in other sports, we've got a full slate of college football stuff to talk about. Bill Connelly dropped a top 100 QBs in the country list. We're still trying to figure out his criteria for that. But I'm kind of excited to talk about the Curt Cignetti thing here soon.
A little inside baseball for those who know us privately or whatnot. Jace and I have this issue before podcasts that we start doing the podcast before the podcast. So we have to stop ourselves when we start talking about the top 100 list. It's like, let's save this for the show because we're not going to pre-podcast an hour and a half to just podcast during the show. Spring training is here. I might be in the market for a new team. I love my Angels, but I don't know if you know, they're not televising any of the spring training games.
Really?
Yeah.
Even if you have like MLB TV?
Well, yeah, no, they're not televising it. There's no TV deal. Yeah. They're just not. The Angels are going to be on TV in spring training if they're playing like the Dodgers, and we're going to be able to watch it on the Dodgers broadcast. But the Angels, there's no TV deal with Bally and FanDuel Sports, everyone dying. And then they said in the next 5 to 7 days, they're going to have some sort of plan, and with airing spring training still a possibility. But this isn't a baseball show, but it just goes to show how cheap and money-focused the front office and the ownership is rather than for the fans. I mean, MLB TV itself is dumb right now with how you have to sign up for it and whatnot. But, yeah, that's the...
If you want your heart broken in the ALCS, come join the Tigers fandom. We're lining up for that.
I get my heart broken in August.
Schoolball will be gone.
I get my heart broken in August. I don't need to get my heart broken in the ALCS because that's way too close to getting my heart broken in college in the fall for college football. I don't know. You're a Tigers fan. You've been there with me at the Angels' lowest too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We've lost 2 World Series. We've lost 3 ALCSs. We've lost 10 ALDSs. We've been the worst team in baseball. Never hung a World Series in my lifetime, but hopefully soon.
Okay, so Flag for Discussion Baseball, episode 1 is now over. Flag for Discussion Olympics. I have quick question. On the hockey's front, hockey's like one of the sports that I'll watch, but it's because I take so much of other sports in, I just don't remember names, teams, whatnot. Like, it's so much fun for me to watch, but you know what I mean? I'm not like this with hockey. I also grew up in Southern California. You can't really blame me. Are we gonna like pre-plan a fight from the like puck drop?
I don't think we'll get like a fight immediately, but I do think probably Brady Tkachuk will throw some hands a few times. I think these are both the 2 most talented teams by far in the world. You've got Canada, who's going to be a little bit better, a little bit more skilled, a little bit better, a little quicker. And I think the U.S. knows that. So I think the U.S. is going to play with another degree of physicality and toughness in this game. And that's usually led by Brady Tkachuk throwing hands a little bit, or like he's kind of one of those antagonizers. Like he loves to be the guy to do it first, knowing that the guy that retaliates usually gets caught for it. So I could see a world where he's just doing that until someone finally fires back.
Well, this is like if if we had an Olympics of football and someone was going up against the US, right? Well, not like that level of like talent discrepancy. Like we're not going to send the US up against like Taiwan, but but like that does help the US side in this. They're the young, scrappy, tough bunch going up against the theoretical favorite, so they have the chip on their shoulder.
Yeah, I think I like the spot the U.S. is in. Not that you're playing with house money because you were definitely supposed to be here, but you're not expected to win. I think when you have that nothing to lose mentality, it allows you to play a lot more loose. And in a sport like hockey, sometimes being a little extra physical and a little more loose is the difference between winning 3-2 and losing 2-0. We'll see what happens. They're obviously not going to be the favorites, but they're not far behind. This will be a good game. It'll be Sunday morning, I believe.
All right. So flag for discussion, Olympics episode. We're gonna pause that because I have another question for you, but I think we gotta talk some college football. So we're 6 minutes in. So just like after the first topic, just like ping me because then we'll bring it up. But make sure you're following us on Twitter at F4 discussion, on TikTok at flag4 discussion. We're on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts at flag for discussion spells out. Keep tuned in with us. Keep rolling with us. These are the fun episodes. These are the can go anywhere, start 7 minutes talking about baseball and Olympics episodes. This is kind of just Jason and I's play date. Anyways, Curt Cignetti, he signed a new deal with Indiana. It's going to put him up near the top with Ryan Day and Kirby Smart and Lane Kiffin in terms of highest earning head coaches in college football. He's going to be making $13.2 million a year. And mind you, he signed an extension back in October. Do you remember when the Penn State job opened? He signed an extension with Indiana because everyone was like, oh, maybe he'll take the Penn State job. So in that extension, there was a deal there was like a part of the contract that said like there's going to be good faith market review after the season if they make the semifinal, and they have 120 days afterwards to meet, come up with a new contract and sign it, both parties to sign it. And they came up with 13.2 million. For me, my argument isn't necessarily he didn't deserve that, but I don't know if you remember, not this season, last season in like August, Oklahoma just gave Brent Venables a 3-year extension. Who was going out to hire him? Like, Curt Cignetti just won the national title. I get it. But he's also kind of made it clear he's not leaving Indiana. So I know you have your own points on this in general. The good faith market review kind of blows up my argument, but it just makes me think of like, why do programs keep fighting against themselves? Are these contracts aren't real? Like, there's so many coaches keep signing deals that just next year they'll sign a new 4-year deal. What's the point?
Yeah. The renegotiations like halfway through a deal, and then even like months later, like you said with Cignetti, they're renegotiating again. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. The parallel that this immediately takes me to is if you're ever watching like a game show, like Survivor, for instance, Lydia, my fiance, and I watch that.
You doxed yourself.
There we go. We've been doxed now, both of us. My fiance and I will watch Survivor, and sometimes like someone will be the parallel here is like the AD and the coach. Someone in the show, the AD, will like feel like they have a really strong alliance with coach, with some other player, and because of that, they will like almost too much like check in and like, hey, we're good, right? Like, oh, you're still on my team, right? You're not voting for me, right? Like they check in a little too much. They're a little too hands on. And then the other person starts thinking, why do they want me so much? Like, why are they so locked in? Like, it's a little more locked in with me than I would have expected out of normal reason. And then they start wondering, like, oh, maybe there's got to be something else going on. And then it always ends up in them in the show. Like they just kind of get one of them backstabs the other because then all of a sudden the relationship gets weird. I wonder if that's like teams are really nervous. Like, oh man, I don't want Cignetti to turn around tomorrow and say, oh, I'm going to join, who knows who's going to pony up a bunch of money and where he's going to lead. There's a lot of good programs. So they're getting nervous. So they're pumping money into him and renegotiating this deal. But on the flip side, at what point does Cignetti go, man, Indiana's really trying to keep me? Do they really think there's no faith if I leave? Do they, like what's going on here? I doubt that would happen. But it does make me think of that. Like it feels like you have party A who's overly involved in this relationship. Well, party B might start getting weirded out by it. we'll see how that plays for Cignetti. But it is interesting how they negotiate like every 4 months versus your
It's
contract's up,
like
let's renegotiate now.
it's like that guy or girl who, and I'm not trying to sound ignorant, who like was in a bad relationship and then they finally get into a good one, but like their own insecurities make them keep
Yeah,
questioning things. So they're always checking in with that guy or girl, and their significant other's like, dude, we're good. Stop bothering me.
that's
Like I
exactly
don't know
how it
what you've
feels.
had before, but it's like Indiana has been so bad for so long that they're all over Kurt. But like the in general for this conversation, it's like maybe Curt Cignetti was a bad example because he just won the national title, and in his extension that he signed to keep him from leaving for Penn State, essentially, was done validly. Like that was another program was coming for your coach. You got to give him a deal to show him how much you want him and why he shouldn't look at another program. But for in like situations like Brent Venables 2 years ago, he signs a 3 or 4 year deal with that was coming off of one good year, one bad year at Oklahoma. He had another bad year after that with Jackson Arnold. And then this year, obviously, they made the playoffs. So, like, Oklahoma fans are starting to look high on him again. But at that moment in time, program like no one was going out and saying, we need Brent Venables. We need to buy out Brent
Hmm.
Venables from his contract. It's August of our year. We need to go get him. So at that point, I got to give college football agents all the credit in the world because I'm assuming his agent went to Oklahoma and was like, guys, it's July. He's got a couple years left on his deal. We got to sign an extension. You know what they would have done like 10, 15 years ago? And I'm not the old guys on a lawn with like a like screaming, but it's like, well, they would have done 15, 20 years ago as an AD. They would have been like, buddy, you're like 500 here. You had one really good year,
Yeah.
one really bad year. Why are we going to give you an extension? But it was more like Oklahoma decided to bid against himself. Now it could work out for them, but I just don't understand it.
Yeah, because the flip side of it is now you waste a couple extra million a year on a head coach that's solid but not great. For when that extra 4 or 5 million a year could have gone to better coordinators, retaining your good coordinators, NIL money now, facilities. It's interesting because kind of like exactly you were saying, Curt Cignetti wasn't our best example, but to a good example would be Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. Like in 2023, Ole Miss doubled down and gave him another big extension. I think he was originally going to end in 2025. They doubled down in 2023 for another one. And then in October of this year, uh, like they had incentives where if they hit X amount of wins, he triggers longer and bigger contracts. And they had hit the trigger for him to get another year all the way to 2031 with Ole Miss with all this money. But no matter how much they renegotiated with themselves and with Lane Kiffin, it didn't matter because he ended up leaving. So it is like, does it work with Brent Venables? Does it not work with Lane Kiffin? Curt Cignetti, I think the guy himself, Curt Cignetti, is just loyal enough that he'll be there regardless.
Yeah.
But there seems to be no consistent rhyme or reason of like why schools negotiate the way that they do. It must be like agents finagling money, lying about opportunities, maybe, because you make a good point about Brett Venables, who's calling him in August before a season starts after a 6-6 year. Probably nobody.
I mean, nobody, or at least nobody that he would leave to, right? Like,
Mhm. Yeah.
it's not like, I mean, Oklahoma was where he wanted to go, but it's not like USC all of a sudden was opening up or Michigan was opening up, where it would be like, that's a place that could threaten us. One, they didn't know. I don't know who would have wanted him at that point. Now someone might because they love his defensive mind and shows that okay, he can bounce back after a bad early start as a head coach. But I mean, maybe that's getting too far down this rabbit hole. I just whenever I see these deals, I think Mario Cristobal is a really good example for like starting in his second year at Oregon. He was asked every December, "Hey, Miami looks like they might be firing their coach," or "Hey, this place is might be looking for a coach. How loyal are you to Oregon?" He always said the right things, and he was loyal to Oregon. So, but he was signing new contracts every year.
Yeah.
I remember at that point where I was just learning how stupid college football contracts were. I was like, the first time he signed it, I was like, okay, good. They have him for 4 years. And then 8 months later, he was negotiating a new contract. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, what's the point of contract?
Yeah. And you know this deal, like they're not going to go Okay, Cignetti's with Indiana until 2033. You know that they're not going to not negotiate until 2033. I bet this contract is changed
Yeah.
4 to 6 times before 2030 alone.
The second
Probably every season.
a coach starts making $14 million, his agent's going to be in the Indiana AD's office saying, "Hey, buddy, we got to up this."
Mm-hmm.
Like, as long as they keep winning.
I wish our companies would do this. I wish like our jobs were so competitive. Companies were doing this to us. Just come into it. Hey, we'll give you an extra 100,000. Just stay. Okay.
Can I get
Unfortunately,
100,000
it doesn't work
first?
that way.
Okay. On that note, what other reality shows do you watch? You're a Survivor guy. Are you guys like
That's That's kind of the main
Love
one.
Island?
We had some friends. No, we had some friends recommend recently Trader, I think it was called. So we're
Okay.
interested to watch that, but haven't seen it. Survivor's kind of the big one. And then shout out to the Beast Games. I've watched that too. Actually pretty
Really?
interesting. One of my like closest friends, like lifelong friend, his older brother works production for like those. So it's kind of cool. Like he'll like tell us like, oh, pay attention to this or look out for this, or I'm in this episode here, like things like that. Or he's like, I built this in this episode. So like tell me
That's
what you think.
awesome.
So that was fun to like see all that stuff that he had provided. Yeah, so I feel like those are the big ones, but I love the like Survivor style ones.
I've watched some Survivor. My fiance and her friend are in like a Love Island kick right now, so it's always on the TV. And their joke with me is always, you always act like you don't want to watch it, but by the fifth episode, you're asking questions, and I'm like, yeah, you're probably right.
Reality TV, it grabs you like that. It like never sounds interesting on the surface, and then once you get a couple episodes in and you get involved in the drama, it's like, all right, I want all of this now. It's there could be like a study of like how drama just pulls in the human brain. I'm sure it's a study already, but I
Of
mean, it works
course.
for college football. Think about how much the drama is so interesting and everything we talk about.
You and I just had a 15-minute conversation about a guy's salary.
Yeah, that's true. That's a salary that we'll never see a quarter of.
In our lifetime. And not to be depressing, I remember in like, I don't know, seventh grade, I had a math teacher who he was asking about some sort of MLB contract, and it was $3 million, and he was like, "Dude, that's more than I'll make in my lifetime." And I was like, at that point, I didn't have a concept of money, and I was
Yeah.
like, "There's no way you're gonna in your lifetime. That's like 40 years of working, you can get there." Or like, oh shit, you're right. That's gonna be hard to see. Now,
Sorry, bro.
hopefully for us and everyone who's listening to Flag for Discussion, that's a different story. But but like in that case, that's like one of those moments in my childhood that I just remember, because as you grow, you have like certain uh, totem pole moments that you just like. It reminds you of something as a child that like you're like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah. The day you came
All right.
money aware, financially aware.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I need to get a football. I keep holding this baseball during shows now. Okay. I do have to ask you a question before we move on to our next topic. I'm sorry for anyone at home who wanted to just hear about college football, but I'm curious. What's your opinion on the Winter Olympics as a Michigan to Midwest guy?
I like the Winter Olympics. I think I'm a little bit more intrigued usually in the summer by Summer Olympics. There's a handful of Winter Olympic sports I just don't quite care for. But I like it as a whole. It's something that's like in our household, it's on in the background, always was growing up. It is here now. I love hockey. I love a lot of the downhill skiing and snowboarding events. There are also a handful of events where I'm like, who thought like, oh yeah, I'm going to dedicate my life to this. And
Thank you.
there's also
Okay.
like the hypothetical of like, you're talking to your friends. I know the answer is no, but it's fun to do the hypothetical of like, if I dedicated like for the 30 winter games and I just went all out on becoming the best skeleton driver, whatever the term is, like, how can you realistically figure that out? Because those are the sports where I'm like, once you're going, like what, other than like shifting a little weight, like what are they doing? I feel like you have to be someone who's like parent was like almost an Olympian or an Olympian or like knew them or was very high up in the whole rankings of luge or skeleton. And then you are like, okay, like you're born and they're like, you're just going to become the GOAT. And they just have you
Okay.
doing that at a young age.
You and I think way too similarly. So on one hand, I don't want to sound ignorant. I would love to know what people who know more about this than you or me can enlighten us about the luge. But who looks at that as like a 7-year-old and goes, "Dad, can we go luging?" And then who also does that and is like, "I'm gonna be an Olympian at this one day." Like to me, I was always like, okay, there's probably some sort of, I don't know, Olympic grounds like Colorado Springs, where I know there's some Olympic training centers. I assume people who live there or work there or like have raised kids there, that's much more of a normal sport for them. I'm growing up in Southern California, and yes, we got snow and mountains an hour away from where I am. We got beaches 15 minutes away. I mean, we got multiple professional hockey teams. So some of this stuff I get. Like, I just, the luge is so fun for me to watch every 4 years because I always forget about it. Because it's just like, how is that a sport that people not only get into, not interested in? There's a difference between being like interested in, like you and I are, and getting into it. And how is it a sport that people do it and they're like, I could be an Olympian at it one day?
It's also the one sport in the Olympics where like they look like us. You know, there's a couple guys they're in like the skin tight, like the US team's in the skin tight baby blue, and there's a guy that kind of like is built like me. I'm like, I would not look good in that. And like it's just funny to see him stand there, his like belly sticking out. And then I mean, he was good. They were doing a good job, but it's just like, yeah, it is interesting. I know in Salt Lake City, I don't remember which Olympic games were there, but it was sometime within the last like 40 years. There was Olympic Games in Salt Lake City, and they still have all of the like tracks and courses and stuff up from those Olympic Games. So my dad was in college. He went to Weber State out there in like northern Salt Lake City area. Him and his like college buddies went and did. You can go do the luge. You could go they were in like obviously safer equipment,
That's
and it was like in
awesome.
the summer, so you're in like they have you in like pads and stuff. But yeah, he's like you could go like do all those things, and they would help you. He's like it was actually really fun to go try a lot of that stuff out and just kind of see how fast they're actually going. Then he's like, when you do it, you go like let's say 15 to 20 miles an hour. He's like, I thought I was flying. And then you see on TV, they were going like 33, 35 miles an hour. So he was like, that's when I realized, okay, there is definitely some strategy
A
that they
skill
have.
level.
Must be like the way you take turns and, you get speed or something. But he said, like, he's like, I thought I was flying at like 15, 20. So I couldn't imagine just laying on that board going 33. I was like, that's thinking about going to a water spot. Thinking about going down a water slide and thinking about going 30 plus miles an hour would be pretty freaky. So I was like, okay, I'll give
Yeah,
him more credit than I was
with
before after
turns.
hearing that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
no,
got to be afraid
I'm
it would
not
whip
saying
over the edge.
I'm not saying it's a dumb sport. I think it's really fascinating.
It is.
I don't know how people get into it, but I do actually. I did some research for you, Jace. Um,
Well, let's hear it.
so it says it's 3.5 hours away from Chicago, where you are. But correct me if I'm saying this wrong. The Muskegon Luge Adventure Sports Park in Muskegon, Michigan, is 3.5 hours away. They have winter camps, $65 a person if you want to just learn how to luge. If you want that for your birthday, we can teach you
For
how to
our
luge.
birthday, and we can go.
For our birthday, we gotta
Yeah,
go.
I guess I didn't even know. I grew up probably 45 minutes from there, and I didn't even know that was a thing out there. And I didn't know anybody that was doing it. I know a lot of people that are like really good skiers and snowboarders and would do like half pipes and stuff. But and like hockey, obviously, is a big sport in Michigan. Most Olympic athletes in hockey are from
That's
Michigan right now. Shout out. But yeah, so that luge thing, I didn't know that was a thing, but I'd be curious to go try that.
so like if you really want like passes here, man, we can get you into, because you did make the comment, and we'll get back to college football in a second. But you did make the comment of like you have every guy group at least has the conversation of, if I train really hard for 4 years, could I do that? And I don't know. You grab a friend, I grab a friend. If we just quit our jobs today, I'm a little arrogant. But I'm not saying like start like working out. I'm saying you got 2 a day, 3 a day workouts starting at 4 a.m. every day. You don't have a life. We lose our fiancés over this or something. I don't know. Like I don't want to risk
So
that. But
dedicated.
like but like our entire life for the next 8 years is to losing. Can we be on the American team in 2034?
Oh man. If we literally sacrificed every single day for those 8 years, I'll say yes. I feel like if we gave up our entire life and the fun, our hobbies, our interest, and spent every minute learning the physics, the style, and practicing, I think we could get there. What are the 2034 Winter Games? Farbode and I are going to we'll wear flag for discussion, U.S. themed bibs or whatever they call them, onesies.
The only part of our lives we won't give up is the podcast. That's how our families and loved ones will know we're still alive, because
The
that's
first
our
10
only
minutes will be updating
communication
on our
to the
lives.
outside
We're
world.
still eating. I like this.
All right. It's just Jason and I are going to be Olympians in 8 years. If you want to join our team, I don't know how teams work in the luge, but join us. All right. The main meat and potatoes of this show, Bill Connelly released a top 100 quarterbacks list since 2000 on ESPN. Like I said at the beginning of the show, if you're interested in who the list is, because I'm not going to list out 100 to 1 on the show, that sounds like really bad podcasting. But if you're interested on who's on this list, feel free to look it up, go down this list with us. But for starters, JJ McCarthy's at 100 and Baker Mayfield's at number 1. That should give you a quick preview of the confusion this list causes us. So, Jace, to start, I spent so long when I found this article trying to figure out what is the basis of ranking. Is this just his personal ranking, or is it by passing yards or national titles, or I don't know. I was like, is this national titles? And then JJ McCarthy's at 100 and Baker Mayfield's at 1. Is this passing yards? Cam Newton's at 2. No, he had one. He was an incredible year, but he had his long term yards weren't there in college. I was like, is this like QB rating? I'm not sure. I think Fernando Mendoza just had like the best year ever, and he's 14. I don't know where to start with this list.
I can tell you what it's not based off of. It's not based off of total career stats. It's not based off of best single seasons. It's not based off team accomplishment. It's not based off individual accomplishment. So it makes me think it's genuinely, I hate saying it, but I think it's true. I think it's based on his vibes. I think it's just based on like the way he felt about guys at the time they're playing. Because there's a lot of names on here that absolutely, like, I'll throw one out here that has no business being on this list. At number 68, he has Aaron Rodgers. Now, we know the NFL career Aaron Rodgers had. But as a top 100 college football quarterbacks of the 2000s, he started 2 seasons, only throwing for 5,000 yards, 64% completion, 43 touchdowns, 13 picks. There are probably 280 quarterbacks who have equal or better stats than that over in the 2000s that played college football. And he's number 68. He's over Kenny Pickett, I know is funny in the NFL. But in college, he had almost 1,300 passing yards. He had over 100 total touchdowns accounted for, and he has him over him. Like what? Matt Barkley, he has Aaron Rodgers over. Matt Barkley was like, from 2009 to 2012, Matt Barkley was like the pinnacle of a quarterback. And the fact that Aaron Rodgers, who was kind of a nobody in college, didn't have team success, didn't have individual success, didn't have crazy stats, didn't have a crazy season. It's just kind of interesting. So it's things like that I think he literally was just like, I really liked this guy. I thought he was cool, or I feel highly about him. Rank him, which it's his list. It's Bill Connelly's top 100, so I respect it. And then the other thing, a funny note. So I didn't know much about Bill Connelly other than I've read some of his articles, and I typically like his work. But I noticed an interesting theme where we were giving a lot of extra weight to what I would consider mid SEC quarterbacks, guys who were frisky sometimes, but also weren't very good. Brad Smith from Missouri, 56 touchdowns, 32 picks, 8,000 yards. Why is he on this list? The team was garbage. He was cool, but he wasn't that great. Turns out Bill, and then after like seeing all these mid SEC quarterbacks like have these high rankings, especially Missouri, I looked into Bill Connelly. Turns out he is a University of Missouri grad. He is also from Missouri, and he kind of went to school in like the early mid 2000s. So I was like, that explains why we've got 20 SEC QBs from like 2000 and 2007 that are all pretty mid. So I think there's definitely a heavy lean of bias onto that. There's a few names that I think got left out of here that I want to mention to you, and I'm curious if you think they should have made the list. How does that sound?
Yeah. Well, before we get into that, I just want to like double down what you're saying. There's some names that from the early aughts in the SEC that are in the 40s to 50s to 60s that I don't understand why. But like Brock Purdy's at 94, and Brock Purdy's turned out to be a pretty good NFL quarterback, but he took Iowa State to a place they'd never gone before. He took a program
Yeah.
that wasn't supposed to do things like that to a major New Year's Six bowl game. He beat Oregon. We know Brock Purdy very well, and he's 94 behind Max Hall of BYU, behind Hendon Hooker of Tennessee. Like Jake Browning at 91. There's some of these stats, some of these guys that are ranking here. Bailey Zappi, like statistically, he's at 88. He had I'm pretty sure he had the best passing year in like college football history at the point of his senior year or something. Shedeur Sanders at 87. Theoretically, he was a really good college quarterback. Why is he 87? Is it because he didn't win? Well, then why is he ahead of JJ McCarthy, who has a national title and multiple playoff appearances and went 27-1 in college? That's what I don't get. If it's by record, JJ McCarthy should be in the top 5, top 2. But if it's by
Yeah.
stats, I think you're right. A lot of it is just vibes.
I think it's a vibes-based thing because a lot of these are just bad rankings. All right, let me throw a couple names your way. Let's see if you would put them in your top 100. I'll throw some stats for you too so you can hear them. All right, I'm going to start with number 1. I'm going to start with Sean Mannion, 4-year starter at Oregon State, amassed just under 1,400 yards, 14,000 yards in his career, totaled just under 100 touchdowns, 50 interceptions. One of the better quarterbacks in Beavers history in terms of record and where he took them. He had 2 seasons where he finished first in the Pac-12 in touchdowns, yards, and then in both those years, he finished top 10 in the NCAA in completions and attempts. He is second in Pac-12 history in pass completions, second in Pac-12 history in pass attempts. That means much. Second in Pac-12 history in passing yards. So 12th in Pac-12 history in passing touchdowns, and he still holds the Pac-12 single season passing touchdown record. Pretty
I think
good.
if you're ever
stats.
one of those guys that's like I think if you're ever one of those guys that's like he's this rank in Pac-12 in a conference history, you're not only belonging in the top 100, you're like belonging high in the top 100. I'm looking at his stats right now. By the way, blast from the past name that I just haven't thought about. So I looked it up. His junior year in 2013, he had 37 passing touchdowns. He threw for 4,600 yards and 37 touchdowns.
At Oregon State, which is a school that's never produced elite O-line play, elite weapon. I shouldn't say elite weapons. They've had some good weapons, but he's never like had elite line play. And I think the best receiver he probably ever threw to is Brandon Cooks. And he was good, don't get me wrong, but outside of Brandon Cooks, it was, JUCO level kids. So it wasn't like he was throwing to Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson and all that.
So Connelly starts out his article pretty well in an interesting way, saying in the 2000 college football season, 10 FBS quarterbacks threw for more than 3,000 yards. In 2025, 37 did, including 5 freshmen. Sean Mannion threw for 4,600 in 2013. Yeah, he belongs in the top 100.
Yeah. That was one I was very confident in. I was curious to not see him. Another name I'll throw out to you. This was a big name, especially in the things that he won. Connor Cook did not make the list. He accounted for just over 10,000 yards in his career, just shy of 100 total touchdowns in his career as well. But won multiple Rose Bowls, won Rose Bowl MVP, won multiple Big Ten championships, multiple Big Ten championship MVPs. I think he's won just around 40 games in his career or more. He led the Big Ten in passing. He's 15th all time in Big Ten passing yards. The other name I will throw out is Connor Cook. Just around 10,000 career yards, just shy of 100 career touchdowns. And then we all know that Michigan State era was really good, right? He was winning Rose Bowls. They were winning Big Ten championships, Rose Bowl MVP, Big Ten championship game MVP. Similar to Sean Mannion, he has a lot of single season records in the Big Ten. And then in terms of Big Ten career wise, he's in the top 25 all time for pass completions, pass attempts, pass yards, pass touchdowns, yards per game, touchdowns responsible for, all sorts of stats. So that's another guy that I think if you're top 25 in every major stat in Big Ten history, you were winning 10 plus games a year. You've got a Rose Bowl MVP, a Big Ten championship MVP. I would be very interested. He won Big Ten Quarterback of the Year. He won the Johnny Unitas Quarterback of the Year award. First team All Big Ten, 2-time second team All Big Ten. Very curious to hear why he would have missed, but someone like Brad Smith from Missouri is making the list. So there's just, you could tell, I think, granted, he's ranking 100 guys, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. There's a lot of quarterbacks it's easy to miss. Nick Foles, Kirk Cousins, a few more that come to mind. But it was fun. I'll give him some credit here. It was a great blast from the past to scroll through and read some of these names you kind of forgotten about, quarterbacks that shaped your childhood that you remember, falling in love with college football, and these guys were part of it. So it was fun to kind of relive them. And it was also funny. There were guys that, like, maybe because we were 9 years old, that I only remember them for one season. And I didn't realize how great their careers were. Or on the flip side, a guy that I knew was great for 1 year. And I was like, oh man, I remember that guy. What a dog. But then you see his stats and you're like, he actually was just a one-off. Like, he wasn't that great. It wasn't as good as I thought now that I see it. So that was kind of fun. It was a fun blast from the past.
I mean, just like looking at this article in general, Diego Pavia 36, but Brock Purdy's a 94. I just don't understand the difference.
There is none.
I don't get why one quarterback achieved more than the other, even though Brock Purdy achieved more than Diego Pavia did. Caleb Williams, we talked about this before the show. He's listed at 24. You could easily have the argument that Caleb Williams, we have a lot of fun with him. We have a lot of fun with Lincoln and that defense, especially the last 2 years Caleb was there, the painting the fingernails, jumping into the crowd, crying to his mom. There's a lot to have fun with Caleb about. But one thing that's like undeniable is as a college quarterback, he was one of the best quarterbacks we've seen in like 10 years, at least.
Yeah.
So I guess I can't get mad at the 24 ranking, but at the same time, I don't know. Like it feels a little off to me. Okay. So without giving me in order, because I think that's unfair to put you on the spot, who would be in your top 10? Not order, but top 10.
Okay. Top 10 for the 2000s. No specific order here. Definitely Vince Young, Tim Tebow. I think that's probably 1 and 2 in either fashion, just in terms of how good they were. And then like just that era of college football, how much they meant to people, winning championships, things like that. Heisman's. I'll probably throw in, I'm looking at his list to kind of get an idea. I'll throw in Deshaun Watson. I feel like he was incredible those handful of years at Clemson, 3 years of elite football, winning big games, winning national championship, putting up big stats year in, year out. He did that a lot. I'm going to throw in Lamar Jackson and Marcus Mariota as well. Similarly, big stats, both of them combining for well into the hundreds of touchdowns and well into the tens of thousands for yards. Two guys that I just thought were dogs. Didn't win national championships, did win Heisman's, and they did all that well. I'm going to put Caleb Williams in my top 10. He had one of the greatest single seasons. He started 2.5 years, and he's got more cumulative stats than most of these guys who started, 3-4 years.
4 years.
I'm going to put him in there. I'll go Colt McCoy as well. I know it's kind of a goofy one, but you look back at his stats, he's got some of the best passing stats of the era, and those Texas teams were really good. He had a 77% completion percentage in the 2008 season. Mind you, that was an era where throwing for 59% was considered good.
So it's really,
anything over 60 was like, oh yeah, this kid can sling it. He's throwing over 60. So he was throwing in the high 70s. He finished in the Heisman race 3 times, never won it, but did get close a few times. I just lost my article. I don't know how many I got through there. Johnny Manziel, I'd have to check his stats. I'm not the same Johnny Manziel truther that some other guys are, but I think he would probably get close. Joe Burrow for his one season would get close, but I think I personally longevity a little more than a one-off season. So like Cam Newton, Joe Burrow, I love and have a lot of respect for, but they just missed the list, I think.
I think if I'm putting together a list of top 100 quarterbacks over the last 26 years, yeah, I would take in body of work more than 1 year. Now, the thing is, the Cam Newton year was so undeniably special that that's why he's listed in the top 10. The one I don't understand why he's at number 1 is Baker Mayfield. I get he's a great story. I get he's a Heisman winner. He had some incredible years. And honestly, what's one of the things you remember from that era and you can pinpoint easily? It's a Baker Mayfield, Patrick Mahomes game where they each threw for like 600 yards. Now, Mahomes is listed as like 60th on this list. Not that
Yeah.
your pro ability should not affect this list, in my opinion. Another guy I would throw in the top 10. I don't know where in the top 10. There are two guys. It's recent. Jane Daniels. I think
Yeah.
his couple years at LSU were magic, and Bryce Young magic. Bryce Young, whatever you think about him in Carolina right now in the NFL, might be small, might not have as good, might not have an NFL arm, whatever it is. Maybe it's the ownership or the talent around him. The one phrase that was so prevalent throughout college football during his days was Bryce Young makes magic. Like he just would find a way to sneak through, like get out of a tackle, get through a sack, whatever it is, and he would just spin around, spin around, spin around, hit a guy. Like Bryce Young. Bryce Young's only fault in college was he had Bill O'Brien as his offensive coordinator. If he
Yeah. Yeah.
if he had Steve Sarkisian, like if he had Mac Jones as offensive coordinator, I mean, not that he could have gone any higher in the draft. He went one. But Bryce Young was special in college. I think anyone who has like Marcus Mariota magic, Bryce Young magic. Like we only assign that phrase to it feels like we assign it to a lot of people, but we don't. We I think people who are assigned that phrase, someone their name magic is like that's the people you remember. That's the people who made an impact on you and on their team in college football. So those are the
Yep.
top 10. Like that's how I would make my top 10.
I like that. The last name I'll throw in before we move on. I'm gonna throw Kellen Moore in my top 10, the Boise State
Yes.
quarterback. He was like the most prolific passing quarterback, maybe still of the 2000s. 15,000 passing yards, 142 passing touchdowns, only 28 picks, far fewer than anyone else on this list, especially with his stats. 70% completion percentage. He went 50-3 as a starting quarterback at Boise State, and more importantly, he went 6-0 against power conference teams while he was there. Very impressive. So he was not only just able to beat them sometimes, he beat 6-0 against power conference teams as Boise State's quarterback, starting QB for 4+ years, and he was fantastic. He got Titus Young drafted in like the first or second round of the Lions. He was turning these wide receivers who had no business playing the NFL into first, second round picks. He was phenomenal. And now he's like not, like I said, you shouldn't impact now, but now he's a good NFL coach. So good for him. But he's a quarterback that was just slinging the football. And those early day college football video games, Boise State was so fun to beat because he had like 99 throw power and you could just run
Yeah.
streaks with him. It was fun.
No, look, you and I just reacted to a top 100 quarterback ranking without talking shit on some guys, which is so unlike other shows. So I want to pat ourselves on the back. Like we did say we don't understand Baker at one, but it's not like he doesn't deserve to be high on this list. Same thing with I don't love Kyler Murray in the top 10, but I understand people who would think he deserves to be in the top 10.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence is at 11. I think he has an argument to be higher, but he had really good years. His like special magic year was his freshman year. Fernando Mendoza, why is he at 14? So there's certainly some arguments one way or another. I have a game to play with you. I don't know if you clicked on this link, Jace. So the game's called Coach or Statesman, and the if you have not heard this audio at home, please pause this podcast. I'm only going to ask you to do this very rarely on this show. Leave the show and go look at this audio, but then come back. Come back. Like, we need you to listen to the rest of it with us. That'd be great. But John Harbaugh went on Fox News, the new New York Giants coach, right? And he was given a hodgepodge of questions from the Giants to the country, to like national politics. It's Fox News. They're going to bring all of that up. Did you hear this, Chase?
No, I've not heard this, and I'm not going to. I've not yet. I wanted to honor the integrity of the game if this is part of it.
No, so I don't have it pulled up. I wonder if I can. I don't want to get this
Here, I'll pull it up.
show struck down with like copyright, but regardless, if you close your eyes and you listen to John Harbaugh talk in this link, sounds like Joe Biden. So we're gonna pause. We're gonna pause for a second so Jace can listen to this. So Jace is currently, if you're watching on YouTube, his face is in shock.
Is that they weren't ready to achieve it. We still haven't gotten there yet, but that's okay. We're fighting our way to accomplish all the things that this country was found.
How is that not Joe Biden? Part of me feels like that
Yeah.
it's an AI like overview or something, or voiceover, because that sounds exactly like him.
Right. So the premise of this game is I'm going to give you quotes and you're going to guess if it's the head coach or the statesman. And the
Okay.
quotes are all blacked out and there's an answer key at the bottom that's also blacked out. Let's start it out. Let's see how we like this. Start out with the first quote. We are comparing Dabo Sweeney and Abraham Lincoln.
Okay.
The first quote is, be an overachiever. You have to be an overbeliever. Now, is that
okay.
Dabo Sweeney or is that Abraham Lincoln? Do you have any leans or do you want to hear the second one before we get to...
Give me the second one and then I'll break it down.
All right. So the first one is, to be an overachiever, you have to be an overbeliever. The second quote is, the best way to predict your future is to create it. Which one of these is Dabo Sweeney and which one of these is Abraham Lincoln?
All right. I have a guess. I think Dabo Sweeney is the first quote, which is, to be an overachiever, you have to be an overbeliever. The reason why I'm picking that as Dabo is because Dabo seems like a guy that would think rhyming is like cool and really going to work. Whereas Abraham Lincoln strikes me as someone who's just like, he wouldn't do that. So I'm going to go with Dabo saying to be an overachiever is to be an overbeliever. Abraham Lincoln, the best way to predict your future is to create it. That's my final answer there.
So, Jace, you're 1 for 1. Ding, 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 ding.
Nice.
So I have 6 of these lined up. I think if you get 3, you win.
All right.
Maybe you win a day pass to luge. All right. The next quote, and I hope everyone at home is playing along. The next quotes are between the late, great Mike Leach and Benjamin Franklin. So the first, wise men don't need advice. Fools won't take it. Is that Benjamin Franklin or is that Mike Leach? Or do you want to hear the second
I get both of them? Yeah. I'll take both of them here and then we'll judge it. This is going to be tough.
The second one is, well, you're going to be dead in 100 years anyways, so live dangerously.
That sounds like a Mike Leach quote. The second one does. So I'm going to say, well, you're going to be dead in 100 years anyway, so live dangerously. I'm going to call that Mike Leach. It sounds like something he would say.
Damn,
but it also sounds like something he would say is, wise men don't need advice. Fools won't take it. But we'll go with Ben Franklin. I could see
so
very much Mike Leach saying either.
All right. So you're 2 for 2. You just got to get one more to earn a luge pass. I don't know if I'm going to do this for sure, but maybe. All right. The next one.
I don't know if I even want to.
Is between Kirby Smart and President Harry Truman. It's very important that we don't make the same mistakes twice. That's a big part of improvement. Now, Truman also dropped the bombs. So could be talking about that, maybe. Or it could be
that one doesn't. I don't have any tells based on that first one.
The second one is, it's amazing what you can accomplish if you do not care who gets the credit.
Okay. Well, Harry Truman put his... Yeah, this is tough. The second... Both of these are very much football related. So I could see Kirby Smart saying either of these. And both sound kind of like Kirby Smart-isms, like just good generic college football coach speak. Harry Truman, like you said, did drop 2 bombs. So I don't know why he's talking about the same mistake twice, because it's a different conversation, I guess. And then in terms of not getting the credit, Harry Truman put his name on a lot of things. Whatever one, maybe is what I'm getting at, whatever one Harry Truman did say is hypocritical, because he put his name on a lot of things. So clearly he did care to get credit, and he potentially did make the same mistake twice. I'm going to say Kirby Smart said, it is amazing what you can accomplish if you do not care who gets the credit. And I'm going to say Harry Truman said the first.
First wrong answer.
Dang it.
Kirby Smart. I thought the only tell for Kirby would be, that's a big part of improvement. So I thought like that would be like, okay, you're proving a ball club, not a country. So Kirby said it's very important that we don't make the same mistake twice. That's a big part of improvement. Harry Truman said, it's amazing what you can accomplish when you don't get the credit. That's why I threw that quote in there. I was like, what the hell? Like going to
It
what
feels
you
like a
said.
Georgia Bulldog mentality because they're so like built in the trenches and stuff. I'm like, maybe they will, I don't know,
Yeah.
like they don't care who gets credit. Like that's motivating. Like if you look up things Harry Truman had named after himself, there's a list of like 9 things off the rip that he named after himself. But, it doesn't matter who gets
It's
the
like our
credit.
current president. All right. The next one, Lane Kiffin versus Donald Trump.
I like how all of these people are kind of similar too. Like Dabo Sweeney and Abraham Lincoln. I like Mike Leach and Ben Franklin definitely. Like I can see. So for the listeners, I can see the names, but I can't see the quotes. So like Lane Kiffin, Donald Trump strike me as similar people. The next one is Sun Tzu and Dan Lanning. I know Dan Lanning reads a lot of him too. Brian
Yeah.
Kelly and Winston Churchill is hilarious too. I'm excited to see what that one comes out to be.
All right. Lane Kiffin versus Donald Trump. We're going to win so much you may even get tired of winning. You'll say, please, it's too much winning. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. I think you'll probably have a good lean on some of these. Some of these are jokes. And then the second quote is, winning is great, but let's be honest, we just have better players than they do. It's not a miracle. It's a talent advantage.
All right, that second one is definitely Lane Kiffin. The first one is definitely Trump.
Yeah, some of these are a little bit, a little jokey.
We're going to win so much.
I'm not gonna lie. When I was putting these together, I was like, all right, the people have to be funny. Like the people in here have to be somewhat matching. So I'm glad you said that. I didn't put all of it together myself. AI did help a little bit trying to come up with some of these, but I found the quotes.
Dan reads Sun Tzu. There's a very real chance these are both quotes both of them have said, considering Dan has quoted Sun Tzu a bunch.
Yeah, I was gonna say this one might be hard for you. Dan Lanning versus Sun Tzu. The more you sweat in peace, the less you bleed in war. Who said that? Dan Lanning or Sun Tzu?
That's a sick quote. Let's see the second one here. That could very much be either one.
And the second quote is, victorious warriors win first and then go to war, while defeated warriors go to war first and then seek to win. They both sound, you close your eyes, they both sound like Dan Lanning.
Yeah, there's very real chance these are both Sun Tzu, and Dan has said one or the other. I'm gonna say Dan. I could see Dan like hyping himself up, saying the more you sweat in peace, the less you bleed in war. I'm gonna say that's Dan Lanning, and I'll say the second one is
damn
Sun
it.
Tzu.
That's very
that
impressive.
One was tough. That one was tough. That one genuinely could have gone either way. Because I could see Dan talking like victorious warriors win first in the sense of like preparation. You show up, you're already prepared, you've already won, kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're both Sun Tzu. It's like they're both like derived from Sun Tzu.
For sure.
Dan Lanning's quotes and motivational tactics are from that, from The Art of War by Sun Tzu. All right, the last one, Brian Kelly versus Winston Churchill. The first quote is, kites rise highest against the wind, not with it.
Feels like a nonsensical quote either one of them would say.
All right, the second one, I think our entire team should be probably executed tonight. We were that bad. Which one is Winston Churchill and which one is Brian Kelly?
Winston Churchill talking about the Brits there. I'm gonna go. Brian Kelly is, I think, I do know he has said this. The entire team should probably be executed. Yeah. We were that bad. And then that's such a great Winston Churchill. Kites rise highest against the wind, not with it, because they also rise with the wind. But that's okay, Winston.
Well,
depends on the kite that you have. Depends on the shape of the kite.
Yeah,
we'll rock with that.
So you're pretty good at picking out quotes. I like it. You went like 5-1.
If that's an Olympic sport, maybe that's what I could go in.
No, you're going to become a
history person. I knew both. That's when they interview me, that'll be my special talent.
I'm a multitasker. I do well in hard situations. You're in an interview. It's like, what do you do well? I lay on my back and go down a hill.
Really good.
All right. The only things we didn't hit today was the Joey Aguilar getting denied his his last year of eligibility from Tennessee. We can talk about that next week. It's a shame only when you consider the fact that like guys like Diego Pavia and Trinidad Chambliss were lucky enough to get theirs. The Tennessee court judge basically said your 2 years of JUCO don't qualify you for an extra year of FBS football. So he doesn't get his last year. It effectively ends his college football career. I don't have anything more to say about that. Just a bummer for the kid, but I at this point I don't know what's right, because one way he's like with Trinidad, I'm happy for him, but I'm bummed that like he was allowed to come back because of the situation. And then two, I don't know, like, or is that right, or is it like the fact that like Joey was denied another year? I don't know what's right anymore in these cases.
Yeah, you hope. I guess the only saving grace is you hope with what happened with Joey Aguilar becomes more normal, that like courts aren't afraid to just say no, because I want a system where old quarterbacks who should be out of college football are out of college football, and young quarterbacks who deserve a chance get their chance. We just want that fair system. Hopefully, this is a step in the right direction for that. But no longer the Vamos Vols; they're now the Adios Vols. Sadly, and we'll see who they turn to next. They got that big time 5-star kid, so maybe he will get a shot. Brandon Faison, right?
Yeah, it's true. Question: if you were going to do a 2-man luge with any of these coaches or presidents, let's start eliminating them. Who would you not want to go with? Actually, no, we don't need to get political. Who would you want to do a 2-man luge first, and who's on top?
Sounds like a crazy.
I'm going to make Jace quit the podcast because of my dumb questions.
All right, it's a couple of things. I'm pretty sure like heft would help us go faster. So like Abraham Lincoln being tall and skinny, I don't think would be. I think you need to be stout, smaller and stout. So Lincoln's gone. Ben Franklin could be a demon on that thing. You know, I'm gonna ride with Dan. I trust Dan, and married older Dan is getting a little heftier, so I think he helped. I don't think he's very tall, so I think he would help me out there. Plus, if he's singing Sun Tzu in my ear, like it's Sweet Nothings, that would be kind of fun while we go. I'll ride with Dan. We'll rep Team USA in 2034 after the Ducks come off their 7th straight national championship. We'll switch to the Olympics.
I could have sworn you would have done. I think when you're watching the 2-man, it's like one guy is significantly smaller than the other. Like, I don't know. That's what we noticed watching it at work. So,
yeah,
you probably you might need to throw in Trump there to just get the weight to go down.
Yeah, him or Ben Franklin would help with the front guy, because I think Dan and I are going to be like similarly built. Like we're not small by any means, but we're not like big either. Whereas like someone like Trump or Ben Franklin, because like the guys in the front are huge, so maybe because I think Trump's pretty tall, so I think he has got some good weight to him.
Yeah,
I think the only thing is Ben was pretty short. I don't know how that would work, but me and Dan are going to take gold.
We're about to get reached out to like a cease and desist letter from the White House.
I just said you would be
a
decent
lugist.
Isn't that a compliment?
I love off-season episodes. We went into this like yesterday without a rundown, and now we're talking about our president on the luge. All right, Jace, let's remind everybody, make sure you are subscribed to us on YouTube at Flag for Discussion, wherever you get your podcast at Flag for Discussion spelled out. We're on Apple Podcast. Oh, I already said that. We're on Twitter at F4 Discussion, and on TikTok at Flag 4 Discussion. Thank you so much for tuning in with us. We're going to get Jace to Muskegon. We got to get him on the luge. We got to start training. So unless you got anything else, I'm going to close this out.
No, that's all good. Thank you all for listening. It was a great episode today.
From myself, Fernando Mendoza, my lovely partner, Jace Hatfield, this has been Flag for Discussion.